Ethan Nation, today we have a very special guest. You guys always know that I've always wanted like the CEO of Swig or So Delicious on here, you know, friendly competition banter. Today, I have 3 to 4 levels above both of those. This is Bailee from Sugar Rush. We've known each other for a good minute now, right?
Yeah,
a solid
probably
minute.
2 years.
But Bailee on Sugar Rush, it's a fast and friendly service, as they call it. Out of what city is it?
Out of Ogden City, the main, like we're right in Marriott, Slaterville, Far West area.
Oh yeah. So she's a hustler. She started that business herself, entrepreneur. She does a billion other things at the same time too. So she's a baller. I've always had mad respect for you, Bailee.
Same.
Bailee Gray in the house today from Sugar Rush. What's up?
Not much. Just hanging out with one of my closest friends. I feel like I think I talk to you weekly. If not,
we talk about
all the time.
Literally, like, now the cool part is we're able to talk about like stuff that's actually going on in the business, like payroll or like, you know, cogs or like very just like nerdy type of business stuff a lot of the time.
Right.
But those who know, you know what I mean?
Yep.
100%. Well, how's it been going? Tell us about the business. Tell us how it started. Tell us about Sugar Rush and you and like what you're up to.
All right. Well, I started Sugar Rush when I was 21. So that was back in 2018 in December, which anyone that's in the restaurant.
5 years?
Yeah, 5 years in December.
Dang.
So like anyone in the restaurant business knows like opening up in the dead of winter right before Christmas is probably like the dumbest thing to do or one of the hardest. It was brutal, but time and time again, like our community showed up and supported us. So we went.
So at first, was it slow?
It was, but not to the point where it was like devastating.
Yeah.
There was always like hope and potential and growth. And I remember the first time we did like 100. Well, okay, so we opened our store back then at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So like the first time we did $100 before 10 a.m. I like bawled my
huge.
eyes out. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I used to work the store by myself from like 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then my employees
Till 2?
Yeah. And then my employees would get out of school and then I would have someone with me until closing, which back then on weekdays it was like till 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And then weekends until 11. And it was just like me and one other employee, and sometimes I'd be like, yo, you can go home, like I can close the store by myself tonight. Because back then too I was so worried about labor and making sure our labor wages were right where they needed to be. So nowadays it's kind of cool to be able to like step away and know I have 2 or 3 employees on shift at a time and we can handle it. So.
I think those are the best days, like, because I had those same ones too, but like where you literally have to work every shift.
Yeah.
They're the best and the worst. Like, they're the best looking back now. At the time, sucked.
It's like what builds success, though, and character. When you're comfortable, there's no growth. And when you're hustling like that, that's when you gain experience.
Yeah. I think it also, and like early times like that, or just times where it's like extremely difficult, it forces you to figure out a way to solve the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So
and
like labor management, for example, sorry to interrupt you,
no, you're good.
is like, we know how literally slim you can run a store because we've literally ran the store that slim before.
Yeah.
So we know what the expectations are. You know, like when people are like, we don't have enough people. Yeah, you do, because I've already done it.
Yeah. Well, and it's like when you are running it and you're either there by yourself or you have one other employee and honestly you have like 10, 15 cars in line, customers see that and they see you hustling and trying. Yeah. And I honestly think sometimes they'd rather see you with less employees busting than with more employees and having someone standing around. Yeah, there's no respect for that at all. And even like I go to other places and I get so frustrated because I'm like, why are your coworkers and your teammates working so hard and you're over there in the corner?
Yeah.
So you guys have way too many people on shift.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating. Yeah. And then I wonder, I'm like, do the owners know like that they don't need to be running this high of labor? And honestly, like when you have employees and they are aware of that too, they work so much harder. Yeah. They want to earn their shifts. So.
Yeah. I love it. Well, let's talk some tactical business stuff because we got a legit entrepreneur in the house, Bailee Gray. Okay, so we just talked a little bit about labor management. I want to talk about some other nerdy business stuff. Okay, so let's talk about, we've texted a lot about like HR stuff. Like, how do you talk to an employee when they're you know, like acting a certain type of way.
Yeah.
But I want to hear from you. So like, say you have a team member that is, well, I guess in general, how do you kind of get people bought in to like do things the way that you wanted it? Like those first year or two when you did work like every shift, you kind of created how you wanted Sugar Rush to run, right?
Right.
That's what I feel like I did. Those first few years, like, I'm glad I did everything because now I know how I want it done. Now I know what the expectation is. So now that you know what your expectation is, how do you get everyone on board to do that? How do you make everyone a little bit of Bailee when they're running it?
So everything I do is I lead by example, and I hold myself to the standard that I want my employees to be at. So I will never ask my employees to do something that I wouldn't do myself, whether that's cleaning out floor drains, taking out garbage. Like, I do those things on a daily basis, and I would not ask my employees to do them if I couldn't do them. So leading by example, honestly, just being like a boss that's supportive and compassionate and understanding helps too. Like, it goes so far when you'll just sit there and listen. If someone's having a bad day, instead of being like, yo, like, straighten up your attitude, I'm not gonna deal with this, being like, hey, what's going on? You know, and just taking the time to listen to them, because oftentimes that's all someone needs to do is just let it out. And I think that gains a lot of respect, and it goes a long way just being there for them and supporting them however I can. It's
one of those things where it's like, because we've talked to like texted and stuff about this a lot too, is like what my strategy is like I pretty much always, when I'm talking to someone, I'm like, look, I love you. That's the first thing I say.
I love it when you do that too.
It's like, true. It's genuinely true. I feel like it's like, I mean, like, you know, in the most appropriate way, I love this person. Because like they are bought into my vision. They're willing to work for me. And like, how could I ever be like audacious enough to like take that for granted almost? But it's one of those things where like, it's also the best business move, because sometimes people think like the smartest and most instant like sounding best business move is to just like, for example, like say if someone like is not cleaning those floor drains or like doing those like tasks that you're asking of them, what are you doing? Like, you need to go do that right now. That's like the inclination of everyone, right? And they're like, it seems like it would be the most effective strategy too, because like, no, don't like sugarcoat it at all. Just go in and tell them exactly what's wrong and what you need from them. But that might work maybe like in that second, but the reality is they're probably going to quit soon after that. There's no longevity to it. So my point is like, yes, it's the nicer thing to do to be like, look, I love you and I'm here to help you out, but here's some things that I need from you. Or like you said, just listen to them. But it's also the best business strategy over time, like contrary to popular belief, because like they're just going to leave if you don't. Right?
Like in the past, I have managers coming in and they'll straight up be like, what are you doing? Why isn't this done? And it's like, well, actually, because we had this, and this going on, and we had to take care of that before. And instead of just jumping down people's throats, like taking the time to step back and evaluating the situation. And a lot of like owning and operating businesses has to do with refining and editing and constantly just putting yourself in other people's positions, because you never know what's actually going on. But like, there's nothing I have more gratitude for my employees than I've ever felt anything in my entire life. So I would never ever want them to feel like I'm not grateful for them and for showing up and being there.
How do you handle, this is a situation I get into a lot, a store, say your store, like you're coming in just to like randomly like check it in on them at night or something, and you get there and it's just a shit show. It's like you don't know how it got to this point, first off, but now that they're here, they're still not dealing with it like the way that you would desire for them to. How do you approach that moment when like you're coming, you're probably pissed, but like what do you do? How do you address it?
There's literally been one time that I was like actually furious at my employees. And before I let them know I was mad at them, I was like, what can I do to help? 100% of the time, I will walk in and I will see my store in shambles. There's not enough cups. There's no ice in the ice bins. And my first thought is, what the heck? But instead of jumping down their throats and getting after them, I'm like, what can I do to help? What's the first thing you need from me? And then once we get there and we get things back up and going, I'm like, okay, what was going on? And one time, though, like, when I did get mad at them, I was like, I'm so mad. Like, I'm so mad right now. I'm going to walk away and hopefully this situation never happens again. And it hasn't. And like, sometimes like you do, like I have human moments, and a lot of the time like I will step back and be like, okay, I could have handled that better. And I think after 5 years of being in business, that's really like where that growth comes from, is being able to evaluate myself and being self-aware of how I handle situations. But yeah, every single time the first thing I ask is, what can I do to help you?
Yeah. I always tell my managers, because a lot of times it's the manager that I will be like, yo, how did it get this way? Or how did your team end up doing this way when I came in? Something I've thought about a lot in my time running Thirst is every single moment when we come into the shop and like, you know, we haven't been there, it's like it's a small moment in time of a bunch of moments that they've already been having. And so like when you think about it that way, aka like, yes, I'm walking in right now and there's no pretzels ready in the warmer. Like you said, the ice bins are completely empty. There's no one outside running orders. It's moving slow. Someone's like doing something that doesn't seem to make any sense at all from like when I walk in. Well, it's important to remember like that is a singular moment in time, and so many things happened leading right up to that. AKA like they could have just had someone come by like 4 boxes worth of things, or like they had some type of massive rush, or like one person like, you know, they're like just walked out on their shift. Like anything could have happened up into that moment. And most of the time when I don't take that approach, when I come in and like I can't hold back. Yo, why is this happening? Like if I drop a line like that, immediately like I'm just shut down by like, well, this and this and this just happened. I'm like, oh shit, like I should have asked first, or I should have like known that I should have given them the benefit of the doubt at all costs. 100%. Right? And so it's tough, but I think like it's all one of those things, like I said before, it's just the best business move if you can pull it off, is to go in with like just like a little bit of like, I don't know, like empathy for them. You're like, what's been going on up until this point, man, like if we had all those details, maybe we'd be in a similar situation if we were running it, you know? Right.
Well, and we both come from, both of us are operators of our own businesses, so we know what it's like to be employees and be in those situations. But yeah, like I show up at my store and we're 15 cars deep out into the middle of the road, and I'm like, hey, why is no one outside? Yeah. You know, and then like someone's like,
we're just about to go out.
Yeah, or like they're literally like on the floor cleaning up a spill, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not even gonna ask. But then I will actually grab the iPad, and there's been times where like I'm not even in my Sugar Rush clothes, like our uniform or anything. I'm in high heels, like going out to dinner with my friends, and I will walk outside and take orders, and all my customers are like, what are you doing? But I know I'm not in my work clothes, but like, what can I get you? Because my team needs help. So, you know, like most of the time, like if I see that something needs to be done, I'm just gonna do it. Sometimes it's really frustrating because I feel like, are they waiting for me to show up and do it? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just sometimes I'm like, how are we not doing this? But I would rather, if I see something needs to be done, I'm just going to do it. And that's what I train my managers and my shift leads to have that mentality. Like, just pick it up and do it.
Yeah. I had a crazy thing. Like, I had this person work for me, it was like a year or so ago, and it was like over some of the managers, and he's got mad in this instance because like something was going horribly wrong when we both had come into this store. Like we were doing a store visit together, and I didn't get mad. Like because I just really don't get mad that often. Like it really takes a lot for me to genuinely get mad.
All the time.
Yeah, I get an exception. No, but he was mad at me after, and then this person was like kind of like just trumping around, and I was like, hey, like what's up? And he's like, how am I ever supposed to get any respect or get anything done from the managers, like, if you don't even ever seem like you're mad? And I've thought about it a lot since that moment. What I said in the moment was, well, I am frustrated, like, but I'm also running this business from a higher level perspective, and I understand that if I get mad in this moment, it's actually going to slow down the process of this even getting better in general. But I think this kind of goes back to something that you said at the beginning, which is, you just fixed it in the moment. Like in the moment, just keep the vibes high. Honestly, if we're like thinking of the best thing that we can do in the moment, keep the vibes high, fix it ourselves, because they're obviously going to know they should have been running if you go out running in your high heels, right? But then you have to have the guts and like discipline to then go have that conversation after, which is like, yo, how did it get to that point, by the way? Yo, this was over. Like, I'm glad we were able to make the most out of that moment and like get that line caught up and everything, but just curious, like, why, how did it get to that point, and like, how can we make sure it doesn't happen again? That convo sometimes gets, from me, I'm so like, I just want to love everyone and be nice. Sometimes I only go in and fix it and like keep the vibes high, and I think it creates almost like a little bit of entitlement, because like they're like, he's never going to talk to me about it, he's just going to your point, go in and fix it every time, and like you feel like they're just waiting for you. Yeah, it's one thing to go in and fix it. I think that's still the best move, but then like you were saying, go talk to them after. You gotta talk to them, otherwise it's just gonna keep happening, right?
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes like I'm not in the mood, or I don't have the energy to have that conversation, because I know that I actually am frustrated and I am angry, and I don't want it to come off as if I'm angry at that specific person. It's just the situation itself. And you know, like sometimes I gotta make myself a drink and then sit down. And a lot of the times though, when you're having that conversation, like I will ask my employees, how did you feel about that? Yeah. Because I don't feel good right now. Yeah. And then they kind of just sit there and stare at me, and you can like see it in their eyes. Sometimes they'll cry and be like, it was so hard. Yeah. And I don't know why that we let it get that bad, and we will do better. But if you actually ask them how they feel about it, 90% of the time they're gonna be like, yeah, that was terrible. Yeah. Like I feel just as bad and frustrated as you do. And one thing that I try and teach my employees is to take ownership. I don't want to hear what so-and-so is doing. I don't care. So if you didn't tell them to help you and that you needed help, and you didn't push them hard enough to get them to go outside, or you didn't step up and go outside, I don't care, because guess what? You're the problem, not them. Yeah. So she has a bad attitude. I'm not asking her. I'm not talking to her. I'm talking to you. Why do you have a bad attitude? Yeah. How do you mix that with like taking that medicine for yourself too? Because I think about that a lot. Like, oh, they weren't running, but like maybe that's because like we didn't make it clear enough when they were supposed to go out, or like we didn't make the process streamlined enough. Like, how do you mix holding yourself accountable versus making them be accountable too? Yeah. Just by example? It's integrity, 100%. Doing the right thing even when no one's watching. I've been taught that my entire life. This sounds so weird, but when I was on the drill team in high school, if we did something wrong, it was on our honor. So say we messed something up, then it's like, okay, after you're done with that performance, after you're done with that dance, you do 15 push-ups, and then you do 55 sit-ups. And the whole time you're doing those things, it's discipline and routine, thinking about how you're going to fix that problem and what you did wrong. The worst is when you're called out for it, right? So I hate being told what to do. I hate being called out for things. I am my own worst critic. And so when it comes to being accountable and being self-aware, I think I've just had that drilled into me since I was a little girl. Yeah. So it comes naturally, but a lot of times I'm like, Bailee, come on. Like, you know what I mean? And when I'm at Sugar Rush, I am 100% on my A game. I don't care what I have going on outside of it. This is my main priority. And again, all I feel is gratitude. So I really try and just maintain a good positive attitude, and then I get in my car and I'll cry or scream or, you know, call my mom, text you. Like, it happens, and you got to keep your cool. But I think any successful person goes home and they recap their day, and you're always asking, what could I have done better? How could I have handled that situation better? And then I feel like I owe it to my employees to be that best version of myself. So like we were just talking about working out and like eating healthy and everything, because of that honor and discipline that I learned on drill team. I spend like 2 hours a day in the gym. Sometimes it's like one and a half hours, but during that time I'm focusing and thinking about like, who am I, what am I doing, what's my purpose, what's my goals today. And then I think it's just starting the day with that attitude and asking myself those questions always helps. Do you think like eating good and like working out, do you think it helps you be more productive? 100%. Yeah. It's important. That too. It's huge. It's so important. I wake up at like 4:45. You do? Yeah, I am like 5 to 6 days a week. Sundays I'll sleep in a little bit, but I'm still up and at my store before it opens, taking inventory and everything. But if I don't take that time for myself in the morning first thing, it's not going to get done, and then I don't have a good day. Yeah. So, yeah, you got to get those endorphins going. Let's go. Yeah. Nice. What are you excited about in the biz right now? For sure. Or just in general? everything. I don't know. There's so much potential and like just things.
You got some new products that
going.
you rolled out kind of recently.
Yeah.
Right?
So we have a new. It's called an Island Oasis machine.
Oh yeah,
it's like
smoothies.
for blending drinks and stuff. Yeah. So they have smoothie products, but we're mostly going to concentrate on just blended drinks. So I'm really excited about that. One of our biggest sellers is Monster energy drinks. We also have Red Bull and Rockstar, but Monsters are huge, so we're gonna start rolling out frozen Monsters and all of that stuff.
Monsters,
yeah,
We've
44-ounce cups. It's amazing.
In a 44?
Yeah.
Sounds like it'd be
People
$10.
are gonna love it. That you got to get the average ticket up somehow. So that's one of the ways.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. We have new employees coming in because school's about to start. I love training people. It's always so much fun getting new people in and watching them grow. So yeah.
What's been the hardest like period of running Sugar Rush?
Period.
Or like period of time.
I cannot put
like,
it.
Was it in the start? Was it like, did you hit any type of hiatus? Is it right now? Like, what's the most difficult like entrepreneurial landscape that you've had to navigate while running Sugar Rush?
I think
or like trial that you've overcome?
Trial. There's so many. And like that's the thing about business is nothing's predictable and you can put in so much effort and hope for a certain outcome and then you don't get it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of disappointing. One of the hardest things I think is when your employees leave, especially the ones you really like and you depend on, and then it's like they don't even give you 2 weeks notice. And I thought we were cooler than that.
Just the idea of building a team and getting them to do what you want to do in general, that has to be the hardest thing.
Yeah, I think it's harder when they leave.
Yeah.
It like freaking sucks. I'm like,
you miss them?
Yeah, like not only do I miss them, but like I know everyone says everyone's replaceable. You're not going to get the same person twice. I'm sorry, you won't. I've been doing this for 5 years. I did it 2 years before I opened Sugar Rush. I've never once had the same type of employee. When you can see certain characteristics in each person or whatever, but you're never going to get the same hustler out of the same person.
Yeah.
So like we still talk about people that were like, she was a legend.
Awesome.
We would step out of the way and she'd bust out 10 drinks, like, cause we were in her way. And you don't get the same person twice. I don't believe everyone's replaceable. I believe that you can train people and you can make things work. But yeah, I think losing employees is always really hard. I keep mine for like honestly like a year to 2 years at a time. So when they finally leave, I'm like, oh dude, like this sucks. Yeah. So honestly, I would think that's the hardest part for me.
When I answered that question on another pod, that's what I said. Kind of what I said too. More as like just people management in general. It's extremely difficult. I mean, that's what we've been talking about the whole time. If we were perfect at people management, like, we wouldn't have anything to do all day. We could easily just teach people how to do it.
It would be so weird.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I know, it's like I walked into my shop this morning and my happiest employee, she's actually my manager. She was like having an off day. And I'm like, what do I do to push her? Because I need her to smile. Yeah. Like, I know that sounds so dumb, but even the highest paid employee has bad days and trying to motivate them.
Yeah, and your job is to figure out how to like fix it.
And like you're going through stuff at the same time.
Yeah,
like you guys don't even know. Like we're trying to make payroll right now.
That's an interesting.
The weight. Yeah. Like they don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes, and like that's one thing I do. I try and keep my employees out of the stressful things. Like I just want them to show up and make drinks and like make people's day better. They don't need to know about my burdens and the stress that I'm carrying. So like. Honestly, we've had payroll covered twice, and I've like had to pay people back for that. My employees don't know when that happened. They don't know how it happened. They don't know why it happened. And like I was working with them throughout that whole period, and they had no clue. Yeah. And so it's like my burden to carry, but also I'm pushing them to be the best versions of themselves, and like making sure that they're doing their job correctly. And it's kind of funny because I'm like, will someone push me? Like, will someone give me a little hope? Like.
That's probably the hardest part about entrepreneurship is even though it's so difficult, like the things that you could be dealing with, it's not really their problem.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, they don't even if they try to grasp it, they don't understand because they're not in our situation. They don't understand what it takes to run one location. I don't even know what it's like running multiple like you. I couldn't imagine, but yeah, it's a lonely gig.
It can be extremely
so
lonely.
That's
Yeah.
I'm glad we're friends, because like for the last 2 years, if I'm having a bad day or I'm like, Ethan, help, I don't know how to handle this, like just your like a quick message, like knowing that you're there, I'm like, this helps so much.
It's definitely lonely. It's like, it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, like I'm saying, it's not their problem. And even though there's all of these crazy things going on, like it really has nothing to do with them. We are the ones that signed up for this. You know what I mean?
I always like, I will joke
Sounds kind of brutal, but it's
Yeah.
like even like key management or corporate positions, like at the end of the day, it's not really their job. You know,
No.
to like worry about the last level of things, you know, especially as like a store manager. What's the difference to them? Like if the store, you know, is like you're saying, struggling to make payroll or something, we still need them to do the same job that they're doing.
Yep.
You know, and those other pressures are to fall on us.
Yeah.
How do you deal with loneliness as an entrepreneur?
Just hang out with myself.
Work out?
Lone wolf. Yeah, like honestly, listen to podcasts, stuff like that. Like I love Jay Shetty, Ed Milet, people that are in the same type of business but on a whole different level. I read books. Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, such a cool guy, and he talks a lot about, like in his book, I think it's called Shoe Dog. He talks a lot about like how he feels bad for the first group of employees that he ever had, because he was like, I did not know what I was doing. So like just being able to relate with other entrepreneurs on that type of level, seeing like your posts on Instagram, like, yeah, I'm not alone. Like
Yeah.
I'm going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah. Surrounding
think-
myself with other entrepreneurs. Like all of my friends own businesses.
Really?
So that's kind of like what's cool. And they're all different types of businesses too. So, even though they don't understand exactly what's going on. And honestly, like I have more employees than anyone other than you. Like you have the most employees out of everyone I know. But, just being able to like talk through things
Yeah.
with some people. But yeah, most of the time it's like me in the gym and my own thoughts.
Yeah.
And then just listening to music and
Yeah.
like motivating myself.
It's kind of like, it's almost like there's different things you can do to like whatever works for you, like the gym or whatever is like a little bit of an escape from it. But at the end of the day, this is like I feel like the harsh reality of entrepreneurship. The longer we are sad about the fact that we're
you have
lonely
to
about
let it
this,
go.
it is just gonna make it way worse.
Mhm.
So like you have to kind of just, I don't know a better way, that you almost just kind of have to nut up and be like, this is what's happening. Either we can sit around and cry about it, or we're gonna fix it and it's gonna start getting better. It's like, that's like life, right? But that's entrepreneurship too, for sure. I think entrepreneurship teaches you that, because there's literally no boss to be like, yo, I can't do this. If you don't do it, everything is going to collapse. So it's
There's no
either you do
choice.
this or, yeah, there's no choice in entrepreneurship. So I think, like, how do you deal with loneliness? Well, the best way is to fix the problem that's making you so lonely. You know, even though it's going to suck in the process of fixing it. It sucks that it's happening at all. But just, like, let it suck. Embrace that suck for a bit.
Yeah.
And start fixing it.
And understand like what you're feeling, what you're going through. The failure that you just like witnessed or that happened, it's not going to last forever. And again, you're the only one who can fix it. So just fix it. Like, don't complain about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I hate listening to people complain sometimes. Like, I know I'll text you and be like, this is what's going on, but it's mostly because I need advice or whatever. But, like, you never complain. I've never once heard you, like, actually complain about a situation. You're like, this is what's happening, but
Yeah.
oh well. Like, we'll figure it out. Like, our job as entrepreneurs is, like, I joke around all the time. I'm a problem solver.
Yeah.
I can be a plumber. Like I can. I'm not even joking. Like I'm this like little 5'3" girl, and I'm like doing weird stuff that I never thought I'd
You're
be
fixing
doing.
shit and,
Yeah,
like, yeah.
it's just like I get the most random calls and text messages, and it's like in that moment I have to put out a fire. And
You have to
you
present
have
a
to.
solution.
You have to.
Yeah.
Every single time. You're the person they're calling, and it's like, well, you can't figure that out on your own. And it's like, oh, yeah, you're calling me because I'm the one in charge. And so I'll joke around all the time, like, who put me in charge? And it's like, oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So I need to show up for myself,
Yeah.
but also I need to show up for my 20-something employees that
Yeah.
trust me.
Yeah.
So,
Back to what you were saying a second ago, too. It's the reason that I like don't complain a lot, because I definitely have my moments, but I realized a couple of years ago, it's actually almost a little bit exciting when just shit just goes south. It's a little bit, it's kind of like
Lights a fire.
I like to fire, but it's also like if you have the right perspective, it's actually like you're making progress. Here's what I mean. If something is going horribly, or like you have this massive problem in front of you, that is supposed to be happening. We're talking about an endeavor of entrepreneurship that like 1 in thousands are accomplishing well, right? Or at the scale that we're trying to get it to. If we have the audacity to say we want to build, for my case, a multi-location, nationwide brand, you realize you just asked for one of the hardest things of all time. And so for you to understand that problems are supposed to be happening, it almost is like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Like this is totally normal. This is, even though it feels like the end of the world, I don't know what the solution is, it's almost like comforting because it's like, this is supposed to be happening right in this second. This is exactly what I want to be happening because I signed up for this and this was the path for it and I'm right in the middle right now.
Yeah, stagnation, like being stuck, being comfortable is like the worst thing. I'm almost like waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
Or then if there isn't problems to be solved, I start looking at everything and nitpicking it.
Yeah.
Like I live to solve these problems, even though it's hard and it is lonely. Like we live for it. Entrepreneurs, restaurateurs, they live for it. There's this guy, his name's Craig. He owns Craig's restaurant in LA. It's
Makes sense.
one of the most popular restaurants. All of the movie producers, like
Craig's?
yeah, it's
I'm gonna
dope.
go to Craig's.
I know, let's go.
to
But
Craig's.
I was just listening to him, and he was like, anyone dumb enough to get into this business is doing it because they're passionate.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna go open a restaurant or open up a soda shop and try and get it did you say multinational?
Yeah,
Or
just like
sick?
multi-location.
I like it. Yeah. But anyways, I have one location, and I'm happy with that. But so I love hearing your dreams and goals. And maybe one day I'll have more. But yeah, he was just saying like anyone crazy enough to do this, they do it because they love it. There's a passion behind it, and that's truly what it is. Because you can show up and your freezer's not working. It's 110 degrees outside, and now the ice machine's not making ice.
Yeah.
And then you get a bad Google review about it, and it's like, I have no control over this.
Yeah.
But I love it.
But
I
it's still
love.
your fault.
Yeah, it's every time it's my fault,
Okay.
and that's okay. Like we're the ones who signed up for it, but yeah, I think there's a sick and twisted passion for it. There
Yeah.
has to be.
Yeah. I agree. Well, this has been good. What's the Ethan Nation need to know? Closing remarks from Bailee.
I don't know.
What's been on your mind?
Well, if the Ethan Nation wants to be entrepreneurs or you're looking to start something,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best advice I can give,
Yeah. What's your advice?
the only two things you can control in life are your effort and your reactions. I would say take that away from this podcast and don't sacrifice what you want most for what you want right now.
Is that why you work so much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love it. I honestly don't have to work as much as I do, but I love it. I love being there. I love interacting with my customers. I love working with my employees. I have relationships with every single one of my vendors. Like, it's definitely my passion, and it's what brings me joy in life. That's also why I haven't opened another location. Although, like, numbers, like, I feel like everything has to be perfect, and that's probably just an excuse. It's more so because I don't want to spread myself too thin, and I like what I'm doing right now, and I like that I know we serve anywhere between like 400 to 500 customers a day, and I know more than half of their names. I have their cell phone numbers memorized. Like, I know their dogs' names, and I'm like, where's your dog today? Where's Sky? Like, I love what I do. So if you don't have the passion for it, don't do it. And again, experience is everything. So just go gain experience. Don't just jump in and act like you know what you're doing. Definitely go earn that.
I see eye to eye with that. Work ethic is the only controllable variable. And how we respond, our actions, let's just say, is the only controllable variable.
You can't be emotional.
Yeah, you can't change. That's the thing, is you can't change the market either.
Mm-mm.
That's an interesting thing that's been going on this year, is we were just talking about, like, Most restaurants are down this year. There is literally no, that's the worst excuse for sales being down, though.
Yep.
It may be reality to some degree. The economy is different, you know, like there's like this whatever going on, whoever this the president is, whatever. That's great. We can literally not control any of that. The only thing that we control is essentially what time we get up in the morning, how productive we are throughout the whole day, and how much we focus on doing everything that we can to, in this case, raise sales.
Yeah.
So I think when sales are down, I hate that. I hate when it's like, oh, it's the economy. No, well, maybe you should have made some adjustment for the economy.
Yeah, why aren't you paying attention to your customer count, your average ticket, how, again, your labor percentage and the wages that are going into it? You have to put effort into every single detail, and that's so important. And like, honestly, like, we're in a really unique situation where we just survived a pandemic. The businesses that survived, they survived because they have great owners and they have a passion for it again. But right now, like, we're headed into a different, I would say, like, game or ballpark, and it's all about watching your sales and earning those.
The legend, Bailee Gray. Thanks for being on the pod.
Thanks for having me.